I have Travis Etienne on my fantasy football team, and I'm a happy, happy man. We can go ahead and pull up where I am currently in the league analyzer according to the expert average ranks. And if you look at the expert average ranks, you have Travis Etienne at RB22 on flockfantasy.com. And honestly, I bet you my team is only getting better after this trade now. The concern that I would have is obviously Saquon Barkley may or may not take a hit. Now, obviously, if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, let me actually pull this around real quick. Maybe should have done this at the very beginning, but I'm sorry. I am just a little excited for my fantasy football team because we just got the report from Shefty that we have the Jacksonville Jaguars sending Tank Bigsby to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for a 2026 5th and 6th round pick combo. So if we are looking at this, a couple different notes. One, this thins out the Jacksonville Jaguars running back room a ton, where previously it was viewed as a 3-man running back by committee, where I was very worried about Travis Etienne. I kind of got lucky that he's on my roster. I didn't love him, if I'm being honest with you. I wish I could come out here and say, oh, so smart, told everybody to get Etienne. I quite literally said the opposite. I'm lucky he's on my team. But it changes it from a 3-man running back by committee to Travis Etienne in the short term, looking like the feature back, and Byshell Tootin in the long term being a very relevant pickup. Now, a note that I want to have with this trade is this seems very expensive, no? Typically, if we see these like running backs get dealt that aren't going to have any value, it's like a 7th round pick or a 6th round pick for them to send a 5th and a 6th. Like where it's not just like, unless I'm reading it wrong, is it like the Eagles are sending a 5th and then the Jags are sending a 6th and Tank Bigsby? Because if we go over and we look at Brian Robinson and try to pull up the Brian Robinson traded details, Brian Robinson got traded for a 6th round pick and that's it. So for Bigsby to get a 5th and a 6th round pick cost, it is pretty impactful. Like, let me go ahead and let's pull up what we have with my rankings right now. And obviously let's update these. Now I consistently update my rankings on flockfantasy.com. Legitimately every single day I am working on these. If you're a member of the site, if you got the season pass, obviously you have already been able to see, Derrick Henry's moved up to my number 4 overall player in fantasy after week 1. And Travis Etienne, we had previously risen up to being my running back 24, but he is about to move up dramatically, and we're going to see where he is on the My Team's rankings now. For me, the instant gut reaction is there is no way you could tell me I am supposed to have Chuba Hubbard, I'm supposed to have Pollard, I'm supposed to have Swift, or I'm supposed to have James Conner ahead of Travis Etienne. Etienne is clearing these running backs. I understand some people may say, oh no, Mason, James Conner is great. I'm a little bit concerned about the Trey Benson usage. Trey Benson, we don't even have to go down that road. But I would even make an argument that Travis Etienne jumps another tier. And again, I am very biased. I am a Travis Etienne fantasy owner at this point. I am rooting for our guy. I am jamming this guy in week 2 where he's going to be going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. So it should be a really good matchup. So I can't put him over Trevion Henderson. I can't put him over Breece Hall. I can't put him over Alvin Kamara. I can't put him over Cook, Hampton, or Kyron. So I'm going to leave him in this tier. I'm going to move him as the RB18. He's going to be a must-start player for me every single week. Obviously, in my week 2 rankings, which will be very different, you can find those on flockfantasy.com as well. You can see that we will have Travis Etienne much higher than this. We'll have him ahead of Trevion Henderson, of course. But the fact of the matter is, I do think that Byshell Tootin is going to expand his role as the season goes on. So, ooh, this is exciting. Caesar says Etienne was cheeks last year. He can't jump like that, to be honest. Couple different things about Travis Etienne last season. One, with Travis Etienne last season, he was injured. The second thing with Travis Etienne last season is you had a completely different coaching staff and Trevor Lawrence got injured and Mac Jones was his starting quarterback. We go through and we look at what Travis Etienne gave you week 1. Travis Etienne, week 1, 16 carries, 143 rushing yards, and you get the receiving usage as well. The efficiency through the roof. 8.9 yards per carry, obviously fueled off the 71-yard long run. But I'm excited about ETN. I'm going to move him up. Now, to be honest with you, maybe I'm an idiot here. Maybe I shouldn't overreact to this. Maybe I should not be looking to do this. At the very minimum, there's no way in hell I can have Saquon Barkley as my running back one anymore. Because if we go back and look at what actually happened with the Philadelphia Eagles game against the Dallas Cowboys, we did see them try to get involved with Will Shipley. Like, Will Shipley was out there, right? It seemed like they didn't want to give Saquon Barkley the same type of workload that he had last year, and it would probably be smart for them to do so. Like, what would actually maybe be pretty good for us here is if we could get, say, like, Tank Bigsby, the useless carries inside the 20, in between the 20-yard lines, and Saquon Barkley gets everything as a receiver, and Saquon Barkley gets everything in the red zone. So, I'm not like going to say like, oh, this screws us entirely, but I would put a little bit of dampened expectations on Barkley, just a bit. Now let's go over and let's find where we had Byshell Tootin, because Tootin had absolutely no role whatsoever week one. Tootin I was very concerned with. I was almost ready to tell y'all to cut Byshell Tootin when I record our waiver wire video tonight. But now at this point, I think Byshell Tootin clearly can be a riser. Like, I would rather have Byshell Tootin over Cam Scadaboo. Like, I have Cam Scadaboo in the Flock League as well. If I could trade him for Tootin right now, I would. So Tootin, I'm going to move up to RB43. I think he can continue to rise in our rankings as time goes on. Tank Bigsby himself was RB48. Bigsby, if you remember, before the season started, we were told he was a quote-unquote co-starter with Travis Etienne. They were throwing smoke bombs every direction. They did not want us to know what they were doing. They did not want us to know what they were thinking. And obviously, I think we can maybe see that this team, with hindsight being 2020, they were working behind the scenes, doing anything they could to potentially try to move one of these players. So, Bigsby at the very minimum, you have to view as a premium handcuff back. So this is how I want to think about it. I am never starting Ramondre Stevenson in fantasy outside of a Trevion Henderson injury or unless you're in extremely deep format. At this point, based on what we saw week one, I am not ever going to be starting Braylon Allen over Tank Bigsby unless you are seeing a Breece Hall injury. So all of these backs here are only startable if the guy were to go down in front of them. That's kind of the same thing as Ray Davis. And ooh, that did not work how I intended it to. There we go. But kind of the same thing as Ray Davis, right? So I want to move Ray Davis down into the same tier. But if I was to look for the highest ceiling possible running back, you do have the Philadelphia Eagles projected out to be the best team in the NFL, or very close to the best team in the NFL this year. Much better than the New York Jets. About the same as the Buffalo Bills. So I think Tank Bigsby, I'm not moving him like lower than he was, because I think he is now like a better version of Tyler Algier, in my opinion. And then going over and looking at Will Shipley we previously had as the handcuff. Will Shipley gets nuked to oblivion, right? Do you drop Will Shipley into a range where you never consider rostering him? So we got real news that Tank is for kickoff return, Mason. Well, that's great. I don't know if you just trade a 5th and a 6th round pick only for a kickoff return. I would assume that he is the direct backup to Barkley. Obviously, I'm not going to nuke Barkley, but I was already way higher than consensus on Saquon Barkley, where I had him as the number 1 overall running back and the number 2 overall player in my rankings. That was already probably a little bit aggressive, and I think we needed to pump the brakes on Barkley regardless. So Barkley RB2, still in the same tier. I'm still jamming Barkley every single week. He's still on my team. I'm not looking to trade Barkley, of course. And I do not think that Shipley is not rosterable, in my opinion. If you think Shipley is the direct backup, it sounds like Cope to me. I could be wrong. But if you look at what this team did this offseason, they had Barkley and they had Will Shipley in this backfield. They went out there and they went, let's go sign A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon gets hurt. A.J. Dillon turns to dust. He's nothing. So now that they go and trade a 5th and a 6th round pick for Tank Bigsby, keep in mind, Brian Robinson's price tag was only a 6th rounder. And they traded a 5th and a 6th for Bigsby. If you're like trying to make an argument that you should still be rostering Will Shipley, and that if Barkley were to go down, Shipley's startable, in my opinion, that is copium. And Prod says CMC is tier S. CMC was tier S until we got the Brock Purdy injury news, and the Purdy injury news dropped CMC down. I would rather have Bijan, Barkley, Henry, Gibbs over CMC. And with the injury concern with CMC and with the Purdy injury concern and the Kittle injury concern, with the Niners kind of falling apart, CMC's tier 2 running back for me. Still inside my top 5, but I think that's all I got for this update. Obviously, this has no impact whatsoever on the quarterbacks, no impact whatsoever on the wide receivers. Tank Bigsby isn't that good of a player to make that impact. We have Travis Etienne moving up dramatically. We have Tank Bigsby kind of staying the same. You would never consider starting him outside of a Barkley injury. Saquon Barkley about staying the same. Will Shipley, you drop him. Byshell Tootin moves up as well. Where Byshell Tootin, you're definitely not considering starting him unless you were to get a continued trend of him expanding his role as time goes on, and you think that Travis Etienne is this year's Rachaad White to Byshell Tootin's Bucky Irving. But that's all I got for you in this. Again, I'm going to be live streaming answering fantasy football questions every single day until Christmas. And we are currently on our path to 300,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. And one last thing that I want to see is, where does our team go in the My Teams page on the sites? This is something I was excited about. So our team is still number 3 according to the expert average. I don't know how many of the experts have already updated their Travis Etienne ranking, but let me go ahead and sort it by my rankings, where we do have that up to date. And we are the number 1 team with the number 1 running back room in this league, according to my rankings, where I have Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Nick Chubb, Cam Scatterbu, and then absolutely nothing at wide receiver. But thank you, Josh Allen. We put a beat down on Sal earlier today, or last night, because we had Josh Allen and Sal did not, which was a beautiful, beautiful game. But super exciting. And I've officially not beat Sal. That will come out in the Flock League video tomorrow if we do or not. We're going to have to see what happens with DJ Moore and TJ Hawkinson, but I have a good lead and I feel great about it. Now, with that being said, I appreciate you. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you wanted to link your league with flockfantasy.com to get the best starting options for you, to get the best waiver wire options for you, and at the same time to be able to go through and see the power rankings and see if you have the best running back room, the worst wide receiver room, like I do, you can find the link to flockfantasy.com in the description as well as the comment section. What you can do here is go and link either a sleeper league. This is extremely easy for you to do. All you got to do is copy and paste your sleeper ID. And you can get your league ID from the URL if you're on desktop, or you can get that from the settings on the mobile app. Yahoo is super easy. We actually worked with Yahoo. They gave us unlimited API access, which is really cool. So shout out Yahoo. All you got to do is hit submit, takes you to Yahoo. You log in. They send us all your leagues. And then going over in ESPN is the last one. ESPN is a little bit annoying. Gonna be honest with you. You only have to do it once and then you're linked forever and it will auto update for you. So you don't have to worry, but just sign into flockfantasy.com on one window, sign into ESPN on the other window, open up your fantasy league, of course, and then hit get extension and then hit sync, and then it will pull your ESPN league into flockfantasy.com, and then it will automatically update for you. And then you can go through and you can access it on your phone. You can access it on mobile, whatever you want. I would recommend doing this on desktop, and I would recommend doing this on any browser, not Safari. And as a Safari user myself, it is frustrating, but you may have to open up Google Chrome for once. But that's all I got. And what app says, do I trade JCM for Travis Etienne? Hell yes. If you can somehow do that, you do. I have both JCM and Travis Etienne on my fantasy team, and I would way rather keep Travis Etienne. But appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. really hope I get to see you out in the live stream after tonight's game, where obviously we'll be recapping everything that happens in Chicago and Minnesota for our fantasy football rankings.